Okay, it's rap packed to my pulse flat. We keep it real, no false rap. I got 4 cars and they all black. Got 4 bras and they all that. We call that ballin'. Doing this is my calling. Flow is so appalling. My phone off and she calling. I'm like, yeah.
What's going on, Internet, and welcome back to Nth-Level Entertainment, the most awesome series, comic book, and movie-related YouTube channel in South Africa. I am your host, Z the Entertainer, aka Zwele to my channel. And yes, I am not in my studios. I am currently visiting family, so no geeky posters unfortunately, but I'll be back home soon. So yeah, as you've seen from the title of the video, I am about to review X-Men Dark Phoenix. Now, what I feel about this movie is that it's lukewarm at best, to be quite honest. It's Fox's last installment of the X-Men film franchise, now that Disney has bought Fox and has access to all the ancillary Marvel characters. And I heard that some production was delayed and reshot and so on and so forth because of them preparing for the fact that things have changed now because of the Disney deal and so on and so forth. One would have assumed that was done because it's basically Fox's last hurrah in this franchise, and that now the characters are now owned by Disney, that they wanted to go out with a bang. They did quite the opposite. They went out with a whimper, as far as what I saw. And I think the biggest problems had to do with the performance of the actors themselves. It's easy to say that they were maybe under-directed, underutilized, by whoever directed the film. I'm not sure who did direct the film, unfortunately. My apologies to my subscribers. That's poor homework for a film reviewer. But nonetheless, I didn't feel good about it because I feel like most of the actors phoned it in, They were just there to pick up a paycheck, maybe their last paycheck, they were probably all going to be recast and all that. And there wasn't any of the emotional content that a storyline like this should have, because X-Men Dark Phoenix, along with Age of Apocalypse, Days of Future Past, are one of those very classic X-Men stories, especially if you look back in the comic books, even back in the 90s X-Men animated series, which most of us, myself included, were introduced to the X-Men universe of characters through that show. In those particular, renditions, the story was actually handled with a lot of grandeur and significance as far as how it changed the landscape going forward for the characters and the universe at large. I did not feel that from this one. The writing itself conveyed that much, but it wasn't, translated adequately by the actors. We had this problem with the actress who played, what's her name again? The shapeshifter, Mystique, the Hunger Games girl. We had the problem with that actor in X-Men Apocalypse, where she was basically very unexpressive, very unenthusiastic to deliver the lines that she was given, to emote the particular emotions that she had in certain situations. This time it was like the whole cast, Michael Fassbender, who plays Magneto, was maybe one of the ones who made the most effort, but even his performance was subpar by the standards that I hold him up to, as far as what I know his ability to be. But nonetheless, the story itself was, about Jean Grey being overtaken by the Phoenix Force, which, according to Marvel Comics, is the multiversal life force, basically the personification of all life in the multiverse, is contained in basically the Phoenix Force, which is why it's so powerful. And Jean Grey being a class 4, what do they call them? Omega level mutants. She was the most suitable host for the Phoenix Force to actually, what's the word? Wow, I can't talk to them. What do demons do again? They possess you. So yeah, she was the most, viable candidate for the Phoenix Force to actually possess and live through. And So now the story basically starts off by when Charles first meets Jean and the trauma that she suffered with her parents when she was discovering her powers, and the mental blocks that he put in her head for the sake of her actually surviving that trauma and developing into a fully fledged functional human being, despite the fact that she's a mutant. And then, you know, it leads up to the moment where she's taken over by the Phoenix Force. And the Phoenix Force basically breaks down all these mental blocks that Charles has put up. And, you know, it basically makes her go wild, you know, and it turns her against Charles Xavier because he's the one who put the blocks in there. And now the entire contingent of the X-Men is supposed to fight her. Now, one of the biggest problems with this story is that Wolverine was a big part of that storyline, both in the animated series and in the comics, and he's no longer there. And secondly, you know, the acting itself wasn't, you know, it wasn't immersive enough for us as the viewers to actually see the danger or the urgency of the situation that all the X-Men are now in, you know. Even when Mystique dies in the movie and Beast goes crazy and loses his mind, loses its effect because of the way that they portrayed themselves during this movie. The effects, of course, you know, the visuals were always awesome, especially in this day and age. It's not that hard to make a good comic book movie from a visual perspective with the technology that we have available today. But even with that, you know, the actors not coming to the party didn't achieve the desired effect that the movie should have had on its audience. So we see, you know, basically the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Mutants eventually having to band together to defeat this ultimate evil. And there's also like an alien race that's involved in the story as well, who have like a personal vendetta against the Phoenix Force because it destroyed, I think, like most of their planet and population, and they now want to basically capture the Phoenix Force and use it to resurrect all of that because they know how powerful it is, despite them, you know, having beef with it. And so they do this by trying to manipulate Jean Grey and turning her against the X-Men and so on and so forth. But at the end, of course, the heroes win. It was an entertaining time at the movies, you know, for the sake of experiencing all the effects and sound and a big screen and big sound and all that. But the story itself was ultimately underserved, you know. And one of the YouTubers that I follow quite religiously, Rob Jefferson, who runs Comics Explained, once he actually released a video saying that he is not going to see the movie because he has it on good authority that most of the actors that were there phoned it in. And of course, whenever I hear bad reviews about a movie that I'm interested in seeing, I try to be objective nonetheless, and I go in there with an open mind. But sadly, in this case, I have to agree. It was, yeah, I don't know, it was a missed opportunity for Fox, especially with this being their swan song cinematically with the X-Men franchise. They could have done a lot better, the actors could have done a lot better, maybe the director's to blame, I don't know, but none of that matters now because the movie's out, and you know, it's going to make whatever it makes at the box office. I hope it does well for the sake of the fact that I'm a fan of the comic book genre of films. But if I'm honest, I was greatly disappointed. But I do look forward with hope to see what Kevin Feige in the MCU is going to do with these characters going forward. I really hope he's going to redeem how they were portrayed in this particular movie. And from what I hear, that's going to be happening sometime down the line because the development, or rather the integration of all these new characters into the MCU, according to the news that I've followed so far, is going to be a process that's going to take some time, maybe even some years. Because of course, like, you know, they have to be introduced movie by movie. And apparently the Fantastic Four are the ones that are being given a higher priority because we haven't seen them in a longer time than we've seen the X-Men. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this movie, unfortunately. I was looking forward to it. I had high hopes for it. It was, to my logic, I would have assumed that they would have pulled out all the stops to make this a great movie. It being the last one in the Fox franchise of X-Men movies, but sadly, that wasn't to be. So that will conclude my review of this particular movie. Not particularly informative, I know. I regret that personally, but to be honest, I wasn't particularly motivated to pump up this movie any more than what I honestly thought it was, you know. But yeah, you'll let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the movie if you have seen it. Let me know what you thought of this review. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the thumbs up icon and leave us a like. And if you'd like to see more from Nth-Level Entertainment, please click subscribe, and please be sure to click on the bell icon so you are notified every time I drop new content on this channel. And thank you very much to all of my subscribers, to all of you who have been viewing Project Zangetsu so far. I do enjoy the feedback that I've been getting, both from Instagram and YouTube. I am very happy about the fact that most of you are getting the effect of inspiration through this vlog. That is one of the main intentions that I had for it. Aside from everything else that I wanted to get from it, like, you know, learning more about the Subaru brand and maintaining my own car and so on and so forth, and following the journey of the modification process. But nonetheless, there'll be more of that to come, and we are not talking about Project Zangetsu right now. This is just me being thankful for the support. But yes, thank you for watching this video if you've stayed to the end. And yeah, as usual, people, I've been Ziggy Entertainer. Thank you for tuning with me once again. And as usual, stay awesome, take care of each other, stay chasing your dreams to infinity and beyond.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. If you want to see some more from us, click here or click here.